so far about the Nintendo Switch 2. I wanted to make another video about this in a my experience form, okay? This is with all the info I have up to this date. April, I think it's the 8th today. Either the 8th or some today, right? April 8th, 2025. This is going to be outdated by the time the Switch 2 comes out probably, or something like that, or maybe this shit will have some relevance when the Switch comes out, or Switch 2 comes out. I have no idea. I just want to talk more about this, get way more of my thoughts out there about the console and system, something I didn't, or I either did or couldn't do in the reaction video, and I want to talk about everything Switch 2 in this video, so we're going to be doing that today in this My Experience video. My thoughts, my feelings, all that stuff. And then we're going to talk about all the bullet points that has released about the Switch 2 up to this point. Alright, so I don't know how it's going to sound because it's a little different today, but I don't have all that weird stuff that I had in front of me before, So, anyways, so I want to talk about everything before, like the Switch 2, everything, all that stuff, all that. I want to talk about it. I really do. Because I feel like it bothers me. It's a constant nuisance. Thorn in my side. But, so I remember when me, Louie, and Chris, I woke up at 6 in the morning. And, because the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, it happened a few days after, like, the first Nintendo Switch 1 Direct, right? And I remember I was so excited. I woke up at 5 in the morning. I even, told myself, hey, please wake up for this. It's Nintendo news. It's important Nintendo stuff. Please, body, wake up. And I woke up at 5:15, got on the PlayStation, started playing some random shit, invited Chris, talked to Chris, basically that good chunk of the day, if not the whole day. Got him in, because Chris wanted to also watch the Nintendo Direct with us, so I wanted to get him in on that. I felt like it was important to get him in. I also woke up Louie because Louie said he also wanted to see what was going to be announced for the Switch 2, and we all basically woke up, started talking to each other around 6 in the morning, or 5-something in the morning, moving forward from that, right? And basically watching the stream, there was definitely a lot of announcements. There was really exciting ones, like, for example, like Donkey Kong Bonanza was exciting, Mario Kart World was exciting, finding out that the Nintendo Switch 2, like the launch game with the system is going to be, hello there, what's the live stream about? Nintendo Switch 2, that's what it's about. It's my experience watching the live stream, that Nintendo Switch 2 live stream, and talking about everything we even know about the Switch 2. So we're also going to talk about that, but I also want to, like, kind of use the beginning part as, like, the intro / me talking about my reaction to the stream and everything, right? But anyways, right? So there was, like, not only Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, but Dusk Bloods, aka the next From Software game. We got Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4, meaning, like, Deltarune Chapters 1 to 4 is going to be coming out, which I thought was really cool announcement. We also got this Nintendo Switch 2 tour that people have to pay for some reason. I don't know why, but we'll get into that in a minute. I have my feelings on that, but I thought, when we watched it, that it's gonna come with the Nintendo Switch 2, like, automatically. You're gonna get that tour game automatically built into the Switch as everyone's first game, or something. So that's what I thought when I saw it. And I was still excited off of what Switch 1 had to offer, and there was just so much shit in general, like with Switch 1, that I was just so excited for, and I was so happy watching that stream. And I remember Louie was happy, Ronnie was happy. I said I wanted a Switch 2. Louis was like, "Bet, I'm gonna get you a Switch 2 and everything." I remember how that whole conversation started. And then we had, like, a long, like, conversation. Let's talk about how the games are gonna be, how are they gonna be priced, whatever. And in that same reaction stream that I made, I found out so many things that day. And I remember it's because of Louis I found out a lot of these things as early as I did, because he also has Twitter. I don't have Twitter. I don't have a lot of social media outside of YouTube, Discord, Twitch. Those are, like, my 3 social medias I try to use, because I don't want to use too many, because I don't want to be on social media too much anymore. I don't want to have like a billion media pages anymore, you know, to find out where the fuck I'm at or whatever. Sorry, but that's just not me. So I want to get into this. So this is like everything we know about Switch 2. So it's going to be old info. It's also going to be new info and all that other sort of shit, right? So the first thing that bothered me about the Switch 2 was the console and game prices for Nintendo Switch 2, right? For example, Mario Kart World for some people is about $90 to maybe $100 in their said country just to buy the game separately, which is crazy. The Switch 2, and I'm going to keep the American, because I'm an American, you know, so I'm going to keep my prices, but I feel like it's really bullshit for them. It's even more bullshit for them than it is for us, to be real, but keep that in mind, right? For us, the Switch console by itself is $450 at this point in time, to our knowledge anyway, and in the moment, right? In the moment of this video, the Switch 2 was $450, and then if you wanted Mario Kart with it, it's $500. And I remember so many people were blowing a gasket, myself included, because I was feeling like, why the fuck is Mario Kart $80? This is exactly what I'm talking about, Louis. Tears of the Kingdom was a test to see if people will eat that game up. And because Tears of the Kingdom sold over 1 million copies, and each of those copies, Kaiju Gaming, welcome. Hello, what's up, Little Draco? Kaiju Gaming, welcome as well. And Fight Central, also welcome. My bad for not saying nothing. I'm not going to buy Nintendo Switch 2. It's too much money. Exactly. Right? I remember I was talking about the console. I was like, why is the console $450? Now, it's cheaper than a PS5. $500 for Mario Kart World and the game? Yes. Both of those ended up being cheaper than the PS5, to our knowledge in the moment. And this is the same day the Direct ended at this point in time, right? I remember feeling very wrong about the prices. I was like, Mario Kart for $80. Bro, I'm going to be so real with you guys. I barely played Mario Kart 8 with its DLC. I bought all of its DLC. Well, Louis did, but you get my point when I say I bought. I barely played Mario Kart 8, and I barely thought it was worth the $60 reprice that they sold Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for. Yet I still bought it, right? Because I was like, you know what? Never experienced Mario Kart on the Wii U, so why not experience it on Switch? And, you know, they added more content to that. But I barely played that, and that was $60. And you're telling me now it's $80 to play Mario Kart. That makes no sense. And then I remember, is every game going to be $80? We found out later, a little bit later on, that because of Louis that same day, we found out that like Switch games, not every Switch game is $80. It's only Mario Kart. But I'm telling you guys this now, they're doing this again. I swear, every console generation now from this point onward, Nintendo is going to charge 10 extra bucks more for their launch title game or for a game of their choosing. Every single console release from Switch 1 onward. Tears of the Kingdom was a test. Now, Switch 2 is running with it. Right? Saying, okay, Mario Kart World is going to be $80 because we think so. We think it deserves to be $80. So, the next game for Switch 3, if not, you know, another system, is going to be $90 at launch. Then $100 after that at launch after another 10 years. Then, then 100, then 110, 120, and it's just going to keep on going up because Nintendo says so and they can do so. That's why I'm like, okay, that's fucking wrong. In my opinion, that's wrong of y'all to be doing that shit. Every console generation, one game has to be higher than the rest. And it's just going to keep going because Nintendo says so and thinks so, right? But not every game is $80 and beyond, right? It's only Mario Kart. And people are trying to justify that and saying $80 is not that much for Mario Kart. Like, I feel like some people don't understand a lot of people's situations and living situations, right? Sure, my brother could save up for that and get that, but it's like, I don't want him getting a console, a brand new Switch console. And every game I ask him for is $70 now. Like $70 to $80. Because most of the games I asked him for were like $40, $30, occasionally $60 if it was a Switch game. Because Switch was the new shit, so it just made sense. And 60 games has been the standard for so long. WFit, Alan, it's Chaos Controller. Mr. Wisdom? Yeah, I saw your Discord post that you want to go by Mr. Wisdom now. So, I don't know. You know, known you first Chaos Controller, so if you do hear me call you that, like, hey, Chaos Controller, because in the moment, just expect that, because I'm usually used to going off of original names that I first saw you with, because I remember those a lot more than the new ones, but maybe I'll try my best to say the new one, if I can actually say it, which Mr. Wisdom is very easy for me to say, so it's not that hard, but you get it. Anyways, so when finding out about those games, like Donkey Kong Bonanzas is $70. I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm just talking about everything we know about Switch so far. This is so far, not everything. It's everything we know so far about Switch 2, but as well as it's my experience like dealing with this and then also knowing this, right? Basically, I'm playing a Donkey Kong version of my bad, I was trying to check for something. Basically, I'm playing a Donkey Kong Jungle Beat mixed hybrid version of Odyssey for $70. When I bought Odyssey, as, like, not day one it got Switch, but like I think month 2 or 3 when I got Switch, for $60. It's like, it's $10 more now because it's Donkey Kong. Why? You know what I mean? I'm not used to Nintendo games being $70. I don't want to spend Tears of the Kingdom levels amount of money for some... I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not stupid. I love Donkey Kong. This is something I've always wanted, was Donkey Kong Bonanza, or a new Donkey Kong game in general, a new 3D Donkey Kong. And I didn't think they were going to do it in the Odyssey style. Well, I did think, because a lot of people leaked it and said they were going to do it in the Odyssey style, right? I'm not rich, so now I'm saving money for my future. Exactly. It's like, which one would you rather get? And this is where all the memes started coming from, right? Get a Switch 2 with Mario Kart $500 and just say, fuck my bank account, fuck my payments, fuck, like, everything I got going on in my life that I need to take care of on a regular basis, right? And just get the Switch 2 and be broke for that long-ass time, but have Mario Kart, the best Mario Kart, they say, or I can actually take care of myself, live my life, and just play the video games on said library by picking it up at a store or something like that, or online, like an old game or something on the store, or emulate the bitch, if you will, if you want to go down that route. I would rather emulate the bitch and go down that route instead. So finding out all of that really made me depressed, really made me feel bad. Whatever happened to Nintendo being the cheapest, I'm mostly worried if Rockstar gets the idea to make GTA $100. Exactly my point. I have no idea. Actually, I do have an idea, and I'm going to mention it later. Right? But I want to mention all this other sort of stuff so far. So when I found out about that, I had an outrage about that, because I'm like, I'm not buying the Switch 2 if it's $450 to $500 of Mario Kart. I don't give a fuck about Mario Kart, to be honest with you, as much as Donkey Kong Bonanza, right, which is $70, but even then, I don't want to pay $70 for a fucking Nintendo game. And yes, I have made exceptions before, like, for example, Wario World, where I think that was like $100-something, but my point is, I really wanted to experience that game, no matter the price, the cheapest price or whatever possible, right? Now I can just sell the bitch or something, if any of you guys want it or something, or whatever, I can sell it or something. I don't like the game as much, but you get my point, though. I'm not gonna make that a daily fucking requirement to go out of my way and spend that much on every new Nintendo game coming out later in the future, and it bothers the fuck out of me, and that's why I had that whole long-ass rant in that video about the Switch console, the Switch 2 console's price, and the games of the Switch 2. Sorry, but that's ass, right? And then the second thing we found out was Switch 1 game upgrades and their prices. Basically, we have to repay for Mario Party Jamboree, which came out like literally last year, and now we have to repay for it again with this expansion pack, which I don't know, I can't remember the price of it, but when people were first spreading the word about this shit, people were saying it's gonna be the same price as a full-on Switch 2 game. Some people said it was going to be $30. Some people said it was going to be a $10 thing. I don't know which one is truth, so I'm not going to speak on that. But I remember when I first heard about this, and I heard that it was going to be like I have to repay for my Switch 1 games. I feel like it's stupid. I feel like Nintendo Switch 2 could have easily done something better with their backwards compatibility with Switch 1. Fuck! PS5, a console... You know what's funny? I tried to defend Nintendo on this. Well, not on this specifically, but I basically... fuck it, I'll just mention it later. PS5 can put PS4 games in and play those bitches, at least. That's what people wanted Nintendo to do. But no, Nintendo decides to force you to pay for the same game again just to run on Switch 1. And then we find out it's all emulation anyway. That's the crazy part. Right? We find out Nintendo is just emulating. This is what I'm going to go into number 3 here in a bit. But, yeah, Switch 1 games and their upgrades and having just to pay for that shit. Basically, let's say this. Super Mario 3D All-Stars, a random example. I bought this on my Switch 1 3 years ago, 3 years ago, because I wanted to play, you know, the games in the collection. If I want to play this on my Switch 2, I would have to buy another version of this specifically just to run it on Switch 2, which that price is ridiculous just to run my old game I already bought from my Switch 1 to work on my Switch 2. Ridiculous. And I know PS5 does the same, I know PS5 does the same thing, but keep this in mind, a lot of those games are getting PS5 upgrades, and even then, I would say on PS5 as well, that is ridiculous. That I have to pay for the same game again sometimes. But most games over there on PS5, when you want to upgrade them, the upgrades, the PS5 upgrades, for the most part, are free. Some of them you do have to pay for, like a little bit, like a $5, $10, whatever. But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make that much sense paying for that much for Switch 1 upgrades. And I remember when finding this out, I was so pissed about that. I hated that. Chris hated that. Louis hated that. And they also hated the same thing I mentioned on the first number thing. Number 3, some Switch 2 games being key cards. Basically, you're buying a physical cartridge. Here. This is something else I need to talk about so you guys understand. Unless it has DLC, nobody should have to for anything. Yeah, exactly. Right? Number 3, some Switch games are actually video game key cards. And what I mean by this is the key card. The key card is the cartridge, right? You buy this for $70, $80. You open it. You see the cartridge in there, and you're wondering, okay, I just bought a fully priced game. That's cool. Let me go put it in and we play. Fuck you. Guess what? Most of those games, or a good chunk of them, not every game, but some games, and this is basically like the Switch 1 upgrades in a nutshell, right? Basically, you just bought a $70 cart that you have to use the internet for to download. So let's say this, the Nintendo Switch 2 goes out of business. They're done with Switch 2, they're moving on to the next system. You can't play those digitally you just spent $70 on that digitally downloaded key card game. That doesn't even have the full game on it. Like this game right here. This cartridge has the full game, all 3 games on it, right? And there's no need to download an update. There's no need to download a patch. If you have this, you can play this. But key cards allow you not to play the game, basically. And you have to download a code. A key card or a code for the game to play it digitally. And I'm like, that is fucking stupid. What is the point of people doing that shit on Switch 2? And I remember finding that out, right? And I thought... Oh, God. Excuse me for 1 second. I thought it was going to be for every game, right? And it's only for some games. Thank God it's not every single video game on the market, because if it was every single video game, that would piss me off. And a lot of that also happens to be, I think, the Switch 1 price upgrades as well. Those feel like digital things as well. Part of me feels like they're going to be. Some of them feel like they are, but I digress. Oh, and then let's say this, right? You didn't even have the Switch 1 version, so I like game. I can really get it in person. Yeah, exactly. It's like, if I want a game that is not in a key card, make sure you read down below, because they will tell you on the front of the box that you are basically downloading a key card. So if you don't see any of that shit on the front of your cart, of your, your case for the game, that means the game is fully in there and it's loaded up on there. It's basically just a Switch 2 game or whatever. Alright, if you see it on the front that you don't have to have a VA internet connection to download. So keep that in mind when when you buy Switch games and stuff. I don't like to buy a game on a PS5. That's what's up, I guess. I don't know. Alright. Number 4, this is something we also know. Nintendo's response to the price of Mario Kart World. I shit you not. This is literally what Doug Bowser said about Mario Kart World and why they're going this route, right? They said in their response, low key, yesterday, Nintendo said, we look at the development of our game and how, our development of the game and whatnot, and we judge it based on the development, how it's going on, and what we think the price should be for it. And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? What does that mean? Sure, yes, you make the game. You make the game, you get people to make it, whatever, they get it, they make it, and blah, blah, blah. They do that shit. But you mean to tell me that you decided not only to double down on the $80, but you gave a shitty response like that, basically telling us, trust us, bro, it's worth the $80 for Mario Kart World. I have never seen Nintendo go from that. Oh my god. I have never seen Nintendo have such a shitty response on why something is $80. I shit you not. That's literally what they said. You can literally look up the article yourself and find that information out, right? And because of that, and I'm like, yo, they're literally like this because of Tears of the Kingdom and Nintendo Switch 1's success. They are fucking high right now. They are riding on a high. What is wrong with Nintendo right now? I'm sorry, but I just gotta say that outright up front. I was like, Nintendo, if you are going to make a response to the fucking mob that you have and set back there, you need to have a better reason than just $80. Trust me, bro, it's worth it. You're gonna find so many little itty-bitty secrets. Literally 90% of people are not going to give a fuck about any of the secrets you put in your fucking game. They are going to play online with their friends or family or cousins or whatever the fuck they got going on, or randoms online, and that's what they're going to do. That's what a lot of people are going to do in this new Mario Kart game. I mean, sure, there's also going to be a lot of people that are good on online, so they are going to do the single player, but that's my point, though. A big fat portion of people are going to buy this game specifically for the goddamn online and for racing their friends and shit. That's what they're going to play this for. Not give a fuck so much about a secret after they first see the secret. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, that secret's kind of cool. Who fucking cares, man, about a fucking secret and about how expansive the world's going to be? What the fuck, man? I mean, I'm just saying. I am literally just saying. This is my thoughts, man, at this point about Nintendo. And I'm going to be real. I put this as number 5. Nintendo acting like other companies is fucking hilarious. Because Nintendo used to be that company that I actually went for because I wanted to play their products. I wanted to go over there, play their You know what? I had a whole thing 4 or 5 years ago about PlayStation because I was playing so much PlayStation that I got fed up with it and I wanted to go back to Nintendo. And going back to Nintendo all these years later, got my Switch, started emulating their shit, getting back into Mario, getting back into Donkey Kong, all this shit. Then getting a Switch 1, loving the Switch 1, ready to support Nintendo all over again, and then they come out and do this shit because of what Tears of the Kingdom did, being priced at $70, and also the success of Nintendo Switch 1. All because of those two things, Nintendo gets up on their high horse and acts like they're high and mighty again. Do they need to remember what happened to the 3DS, my guy? Where they priced it at $200-something, and because of fan backlash, they had to drop it down to $149 for people to actually consider getting their kid or getting themselves a 3DS. So Nintendo, I'm gonna be real with you, I am pissed off at you 1000% for doing all of this shit for your product. Because I'm not going to lie, you're supposed to be the guy, the alternative for people that can't buy a PS5. You're supposed to be the alternative for people that can't buy a new Xbox or a PlayStation. You're supposed to be the cheapest one on the block. even though you have shittier hardware than the PS5 and Xbox One by default, you were still, a good place to go for people that wanted to play Smash, people that wanted to play the new Mario, people that wanted to play the new Donkey Kong, people that wanted to play Metroid. You know what I mean? You were the place for that. Now it's like, because of these damn prices, people might just skip out on this console generation altogether or wait till the OLED version of Switch 2 comes out for them to even consider buying a regular Switch because they're going to drop the price. Possibly. I have no idea. This is just speculation at this point, right? And I have every right to be pissed about this because it felt like I just got back into Nintendo yesterday. And now suddenly they're spitting back in my face saying, pay this fucking up. Because guess what? You fucking have to now if you want to play the newest Zelda that's going to come out on a console that's not announced yet. Or Donkey Kong Bonanza. Or Mario Kart World. It's like, fuck you. I got Sonic Cross Worlds coming, bitch. I can just play that instead. Or something else like that if I want a fucking kart racer or something. I don't have to play Mario Kart day one. I don't have to play Donkey Kong Bonanza day one. Matter of fact, I have Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I can sit there and replay all damn day long, and it's about to be the same experience as Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm just kidding. It's not, but I can sit there and play Mario Odyssey and just imagine it is. You know what I mean? But anyways, and another thing we found out about the Switch 2 is the Switch 2 pre-orders in America have been completely delayed because Nintendo was incompetent and didn't think the tariffs were going to hurt them that much, which shows how greedy they are. Or that shows how, that shows they can't think of tariffs, right? They didn't think tariffs were going to be a problem. And now they delayed the pre-orders for Switch 2, and now it might cost more than $450 for base and $500 for the Switch fucking 2. Keep this in mind, people. The Switch 2 pre-orders in America got delayed. They are no longer available for people. And I think people got their money back from them pre-ordering their shit. So I'm not sure about that. I didn't look too much information into that. I just know the pre-orders got delayed, and it pissed a lot of people off because now people are thinking to themselves, that means the Switch 2 is going to cost more by default because these tariffs are eating Japan alive. And I'm like, well, Nintendo, now I think your Switch 2 isn't going to be successful at all. Because if you already made it and keep this in mind, they made it $450 to $500 with the tariffs only being 20%. They were going to price it at $450 with low tariffs or high tariffs, right? Or not high tariffs, but more like low tariffs. Like if the tariffs weren't going to affect them that much, they were going to go $450 anyway to $500. So now picture with the tariffs being up to, I think, 46% for Japan right now. If not, maybe even higher now for all I know. It could be even more for the base, meaning we could go $480 for base. Just a random number, not factual information. We can go $480, maybe $500 for base, and $600 for the bundle version of it. That also includes Mario Kart. They're probably going to have to throw in another fucking game altogether, like another bundle. So it can be priced even higher or something. Or it's just going to be, Switch 2 with Mario Kart Worlds in one console. Boom, bada bling, that's it. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Switch 2 is going to fail. Think about it. The price at $450 to $500. Then hearing about Switch 1 upgrades costing money. Then hearing about a lot of Switch games aren't even going to be Switch 2 games. They're going to be key cards that you have to put in and download via internet connection. So meaning you're just sitting there buying a $70 license for the game, not actually the game on its cartridge for some Switch 2 games or even Switch 1 games. Mario Kart, the fucking Doug Bowser himself basically says Nintendo Switch 2 is basically the price we want it to be, and you're not going to do a damn thing to change it, basically, and said, trust us, bro. it's worth the $80, right? And on top of that, they're also canceling pre-orders. On top of all of that. And that's just the first page of Switch info we need, or I have for today, because I have another page of Switch info right here. And keep in mind, that's just on page 1, how Nintendo Switch 2 is fucking fucked. Now, before I get into the other stuff, I can straight up tell you that Nintendo Switch 2, how they can easily bounce back is they make the console cheaper, like cheaper, and I mean cheaper, drop the damn prices for the regular Switch without anything, drop the games to $60, $70, right? Instead of 80 for World, put it to 70, put every game to 70 or even 60, right? And also drop that bundle from 500 to something even less than that, like 400 for base and 400 and 450 for the fucking bundle, right? Do that, and I feel like more people will be inclined to buy your shit. And don't ever say shit like what you just said about Mario Kart World again. Don't ever say shit like that again. And don't ever have a shitty pre-order and then delay it later because you didn't fucking think the tears were going to be that bad, you fucking dumbasses. Anyways, part 2 of everything we know about Switch 2, right? Nintendo Switch eShop won't have music. I remember a lot of people, myself included, really wanted the Nintendo Switch shop to have music because the Wii U eShop had music. And I'm going to show you. Hold on. Nintendo Wii U eShop music. This is 2019 eShop music. Yeah, let me show y'all. Dude, the eShop from the Wii U had music. The Switch 1 doesn't even have that. Oh, and guess what? Right? Finding out the eShop for Nintendo Switch 2 also won't have music. I know a lot of people are going to be like, why does that even matter? Who cares about that? I don't really need music to, basically be like, hey, I want to shop for shit. I want to basically do my shit, right? I don't need music to do that. And you know what? You're absolutely right. But the fact that Nintendo is still, is basically still not going to add, like, any sort of, like, interesting music while you're trying to shop, to make the shopping experience feel a little better. I know PS5 and Xbox probably don't do that, but at least they have something in the background whenever you're buying shit, like the usual PlayStation 5 noises that it would make while being powered on or something. I don't know. I feel like it added a little bit extra life into Nintendo's eShop. It didn't just feel like corporate. You go in there, you buy what you want, you get the fuck out, you know? It felt like an experience when you were doing it on the Wii and Wii U, you know, having that eShop music, that little feel of life that Nintendo used to have with their previous consoles. And now it's like, the fact that they won't have it again for Switch 2 is crazy, because I know people were ravaging about that, about Switch 1. People wanting eShop music. And also, the eShop for the Switch 2, I think, won't be that much better than Switch 1's eShop either. That's another thing I think that's going to happen. But this is guaranteed. When I talked about Switch 2 eShop not having any music, that's happening. Another thing that got announced earlier today, actually, is Nintendo won't have any achievements like Switch 1 did. And I won't lie to you, I don't really give much of a fuck about achievements, but I understand people that really wanted achievements on Switch 1, because the Wii U didn't have them, the Wii didn't have them, and it would be cool if Mario games or Zelda games for at least the first time, not just in-game achievements, but actual achievements, like, outside of that, so you can, like, have a big bunch of trophies, or collect things. And I know trophy hunters are all over YouTube nowadays. For some reason, in this day and age, we got trophy hunters all over the place. But, like, I remember when this got announced today, I didn't really treat it as a big deal, because I'm like, achievements, I don't really care about that. I'm not really an achievement hunter when I play games. You know what I mean? Unless I specifically want to go after that said trophy, then maybe I'll go for it. But other than that, 9 times out of 10, I am not really a trophy hunter. So just hearing that it won't be on Switch 2, I really did not give a fuck about that. Matter of fact, I care more that the eShop for Switch 2 won't have music than I do the Switch 2 having achievements. But I do understand for those people that really were really praying for Switch 2 to have, like, achievements. I understand you. You know, you want to a trophy hunt. You want to achieve shit. You want to get that little small rush of dopamine when you get that trophy or whatever the fuck, or just whatever, right? And also, this is something that also came out today, and this is the last thing I'm probably going to be talking about in this video. Nintendo Switch 2's analog sticks aren't Hall effect sticks, which I don't really care much for if the Switch 2 sticks aren't Hall effect sticks, because I don't really understand what the fuck that even is 9 times out of 10, and I bet you 9 times out of 10, people will not understand, like, the difference of analog stick unless they're, like, game designers themselves or people that are really, really knowledgeable or really nerdy and tech nerdy in terms of that stuff. I feel like that's something tech nerdy motherfuckers will be all up in about if it's a good thing or a bad thing. All I give a fuck about for my Switch 2 analog sticks, if I even get one, is that they're way better than the Switch 1's versions where they got drift all the time. And the dude said in the interview when he was talking about the sticks, basically he said, whenever I played with the Switch 2 Pro controller, it felt like I was playing with the GameCube controller all over again. I'm like, so is Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller analog stick for Switch 2's Joy-Cons and Pro Controller basically like a GameCube controller in your hands again? Because I felt what a GameCube controller is like. I have a GameCube controller down there myself, so I know exactly how a GameCube controller feels. I have a black one right here. I use this to play all of Luigi's Mansion with, and let me tell you, the analog stick on the GameCube controller is good. It's really, really good. Matter of fact, I love the feel of the analog stick on the GameCube controller. So if it is like that, right, then I don't think I would mind it too much. But all I really would care about is if it's going to have drift. Is it going to drift as easily as Switch 1? I feel like that would have been a way more of an appropriate question, you know, to ask. You know what I mean? Like, then just figure out if the Joy-Cons are like, or the stick is going to be something different. I feel like, is it going to get drift? I mean, I guess it semi-answers the question because it's like, I've never had a GameCube controller that had drift, or that bad a drift, until like many years after you bought it. So it's like, I guess that means it's good. So, I don't know. You guys are the best. Kaiju Gaming, hey man, I just do my best. You know what I mean? That's all I do, is I do my best and I say my piece. You know, whenever I do stuff like this, I say my piece. You know, but anyways, that's all we know about the Nintendo Switch 2, right? That's all the info I have. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make like an updated like video on all this, like basically update it by adding what I put in, you know, a new stream. But like, I just really felt like the Nintendo Switch 2 is completely falling off with this whole thing they got going on. I mean, I just can't believe it. As someone who has been a Nintendo fan their entire life, 23 years, right? And I've loved Nintendo more than I've loved Sony, you know, even though I played Sony for a portion of my life too. I love Nintendo the most, you know, out of the big three, you know, because it had Mario, because it had Donkey Kong, because it had Kirby, Zelda, it had, you know, those characters, those IPs that I really, really like. Don't get me wrong, PlayStation does have a lot of good shit too, like God of War and all sorts of shit, but it's just seeing Nintendo in this day and age do the things that they do right now in terms of pricing their shit, in terms of saying, trust us, bro, it's worth the $80, when I have nothing to trust you on. I mean, you're just telling me to trust you when literally these prices are ridiculous for the system and its games, mainly the games. Because I remember my dad said one day that the price isn't that bad, but the games, you know, or the price for the console is not a PS5. And I'm like, that's true, because the PS5 was $550, you know, including taxes, maybe $560 or something like that. I don't fucking know, right? But I still think it's bad for a console that is not PS5 level, you know, or something like that, or Xbox level or whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a massive upgrade from what I noticed. It's an upgrade from the Switch 1 like everybody wanted, but it's like, I feel like everybody was so betrayed, it felt like, by those prices, by those game prices. And I kind of wish, when I watched the Direct, I think I even said this in the Direct, I'm surprised. I fell for that Nintendo trap. I didn't ask questions. Like, for example, when watching the stream, I wish I asked the question of, where the fuck are the prices for these things, you know, in your Direct, you know? Why do I have to go to your website? Just tell us in the Direct so people can prepare for it a lot easier. And I feel like Nintendo did that in the Direct on purpose, so that way they couldn't get flank until a little bit later, until Nintendo updated the site, and then the flank came in, right? Because Nintendo at least wanted an hour of hype, an hour of 3 hour hype from people around the world and whatever, and, you know, and then let the prices come out, and then, you know, I don't get it. I don't understand it. As a consumer of Nintendo, right, I don't understand why Nintendo decided to do this. You know, in fact, I feel like this is going to make people emulate Nintendo that much more. You know, like, go on their PCs, go on their laptops, illegally play Nintendo Switch 2 games, because guess what? They're not going to pay those prices for your Nintendo Switch 2 products. They're not. I already know they're not. But they're going to want to play the game. And if they find a way to play the game without going over to your storefront, buying the console, and then playing the game, they are going to emulate it, Nintendo. I want you to understand that. They are going to emulate it. Sure, I may not emulate it because I don't have anything as powerful. I mean, sure, I got a PS5 that's pretty powerful, but I don't have like a powerful laptop to run Switch 1, Switch 2 games on it. So it's like, I can't really emulate Switch 2 games anyway. But you know what? Until Nintendo changes their prices on this shitty Switch 2 shit and stops with that shitty mentality they're going with, I'm not buying the Switch 2. I'm just going to sit here and emulate my fucking shit, you know, if I have the need to. Like, emulate Super Mario Brothers 3, Punch-Out, or use the Switch Online subscription service still. Even then, I might not even pay for that. I'm going to be real. The only reason I'm still paying for Nintendo Switch Online at this point is because I want to play with Chris on at least something Nintendo related. That's the only reason I'm having Louis pay for the fucking service. You know, every so often, every year or so. I'm going to be so real. I'm going to go back and I'm just going to emulate the library that you have on your Game Boy Advance, your DS, possibly. Just possibly. Not really guaranteed, but I'm just going to go do that. You know, I don't have to play the Switch 2. And then that's something I think I realized after all of this shit. After Nintendo announced all this shit, it kind of hit me all at the same time. Why am I even supporting this anymore? You know, I can sit there and play the entirety of the DS library if I wanted to, or most of it, for free. If I just decided to get a fucking DS emulator and emulate it myself. Right? And since there's so many games on the DS itself, I could get tired of the DS and want to play the 3DS, but you get my point. There's so many games on one system's library that I can spend the rest of my life playing that said console's library of games and still not be fucking done with it. Literally at this point, if you're buying a Nintendo Switch 2, you're buying it specifically for those certain IPs. And that's what every console's for, is buying it at first for those certain IPs. But then it starts to branch out more and more and more. And shit, I won't lie. If people are just going to get $450 for the Switch 2 or $400, you might as well just save another month or two or maybe 3 for at least $1,000 to get yourself a PC. So you can sit there and have a console that's even better than the Switch 2 and also get PS5 and Xbox One games on your PC that can run even better than the PS5 and Xbox One and whatever. And you can get a slice of Nintendo too. You can get a slice of all three of the big three's pie when you get a PC, man. Or like a Steam Deck or something. So it's just like, why bother, you know, sometimes with these consoles? It just makes me think anyway. You know, why bother when I can sit there playing the Wii library? I only have a fraction of the Wii library. Come look at this real quick. Whoops. Don't know what the fuck that is, but that's something. Right? Oh, that's GameCube. This is only a small oh, that's a GameCube as well. Luigi's Mansion is GameCube. This is a small portion, aka my Wii games. This is Wii Sports, by the way. Small portion of Wii games right here, right? I could go out to these retro game stores, buy these for my Wii, and just live off the Wii library for many years to come, you know? And I really love the fact that Nintendo didn't even also think this, guys. Nintendo didn't think about the people that can't afford the next console. And, you know, and I feel like that's also kind of fucked up when people come out and try to defend Nintendo. And I gotta go. Kaiju Gaming, thank you so much for watching the stream. God bless you. Hope you have a great day, right? People, like, fucking come up to you sometimes and say, I'm sorry, your life sucks, bro, and you can't afford a fucking video game console. It's like, fuck you, man. You don't know my life situations, my family situations, or, you know, what I got going on. Like, fuck you, man. You don't know me. You don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's also fucking retarded. People get on other people for not being able to buy, you know, their said products all that much. And it really grinds my fuck. I'm actually messing up all my other shit I had back here. But it really grinds my gears that people get on other people for such stupid shit. Like I just mentioned, you know, like, you know, you can't buy the next console, that's a you problem, bro. It's like, fuck off. It's not a me problem. It's not my fault I live in an area where tariffs affect it completely, or tariffs affect it either worse or less, you know, in some countries. It's not my fault that's happening. It's the fucking country's fault for, you know, fucking over America for so long, and now it's like, you know, even crazier now than before. It's not my fault that's happening. You know, or vice versa, you know. It's not my fault. In my area, these are the only jobs I can get to, and I can't really move out of my area. I don't know why Nintendo never thought about any of those people. They only think basically the Switch 2 is basically going to be the rich kids console, right? Where all the rich folk that can easily spend this money no problem can get it and play it. Basically, that's what Nintendo is saying. And this is exactly why I'm just going to probably buy Prime 4 Switch 1. You know, get that game at $60 or something like that and call it a day. Or whatever's still going to be releasing on Switch 1 from other developers. Because I'm going to be real, I feel like other developers are actually cooler than Nintendo at this point. Matter of fact, I won't even lie. Super Mario Wonder may have been a good game, but Anton Blast was a better game than that. And it was priced nowhere near as much as Mario Bros. Wonder. It was priced only at $20. I got a phenomenal platformer out of that game. More so than Mario Wonder for $60. And that's just what I mean. Like, God. And I know, I might sound like a broken record or a broken Nintendo fanboy. But it's like, I don't know, man. And on top of that, with these prices and everything you're doing, Nintendo, you're making your loyal fans uncomfortable, unhappy. And you know what's fucked up? Content, and I get it. Switch 2 is going to blow up day one, regardless of how many people boycott it or not. You know, because all the content creators that are Nintendo creators are going to have to pay out their wallet just for the content, right? Because, you know, they need that Switch 2 for the content. Like Nathaniel Bandy, Arlo is going to get the Switch 2. So many content creators are going to have to get the Switch 2 so they can continue making their Nintendo content, because they need Nintendo to continue making content for their audience. So it's kind of fucked that every content creator is going to have to go out of their way and buy it if they are Nintendo-oriented or related. Me? I'm a broke-ass Nintendo fan, okay? I'm lucky for the shit I even have. Like, the PS3, my dad just had for a fucking eon. The Wii, it was only $50. That was a $50 console. Now it's like $80 as a console. So it's they're charging me for Mario Kart World as much as a Wii goes for today. That's crazy. I'd rather just get a fucking Wii. You know what I mean? And I'm lucky to have my Switch because my brother paid, you know, I think it was either $350 or $340-ish, because keep in mind, this was Switch 1 V2 after so many years of it being out already, so it might have went down to like $300 something flat. So it's like, dude, I'm blessed. I'm lucky to have my Switch 1, my Wii, the PS3, the PS5. I know people might say I'm rich because I have the PS5 and I have all these things, but keep this in mind. The PS5 my brother got right here, this was weeks upon weeks of busting his ass to grab. You know? The Wii, not so much. It didn't really take that long to get that. But the PS3, we've had that forever. And the Switch, it took Louis like, either a paycheck or two to grab that. You know? So it's like, that's my brother's hard-earned time and money spent on some of this shit. The Wii, the Switch, and PS5 specifically. The PS3 has been here for an eon, so that was paid for. I mean, shit, remember when the PS3 was $549, y'all? Crazy shit, until they had to drop that price. But yeah, sometimes even fanboyism has its limits. Exactly, Lucas, exactly. And I was a fan of Nintendo until this moment. My nigga Chris was a fan of Nintendo until this moment, until the Switch 2 Direct came out. And we're not even going to get it. We're not even going to get the Switch 2. Me and Chris literally said, I'm not getting the Switch 2, you know, I'm not going to get it. And I said, I'm not going to get it unless Nintendo changes some things around for the better. Get off their greed farm that they want to farm out and open your fucking eyes, even with these tariffs, fuckfaces. You guys are billionaires. You guys have one of the biggest consoles on the fucking market. And you guys suddenly decide, we can't do this anymore, we need this and then. I'm telling you, it's corporate greed. It's Nintendo running off the high of Switch 1 success and Tears of the Kingdom money with the $70 price tag. That's the only reason they're getting away with a lot of this shit. I'm telling you guys that now for a fact. That's why they're being as bitchy as they are now. And I'm telling you, if they drop to the Wii U era again, it's their fault for dropping to the Wii U eras again when Switch 2 drops. I'm just going to tell you guys that now. And if I'm correct on Nintendo falling down to Wii U eras, they might go out of business. I'm going to be real. They might go out of business. And even if Switch 2 succeeds, it is not going to be as much. They calculate that it's going to be 32 million in the first week. And I'm like, it might be either 30 million, maybe 20 million, maybe even 15 million. It might undersell because of everything that happens and everything that is coming out about Nintendo every day. Keep this in mind. There are videos every single day about the Nintendo Switch 2 that is about either, hey, let's boycott Nintendo about this, or people explaining the situation to people in a way to help the general public understand what Nintendo's actually doing behind the scenes about this shit. And my videos on top of that, I'm like everyone else here. I'm talking about the Switch 2 and why I'm angry with it and why I'm trying to show you guys how bad Nintendo's being right now by talking about it again for like the 5th time on stream or 6th time or 7th. I don't even fucking know at this point. Just, I'm so angry about the Switch 2, and me as a Nintendo fan that loves, you know, their consoles, their hardware, their IPs. On top of that, I'm not even getting Punch-Out in the damn system, so why the fuck would I pay for it I mean, Donkey Kong? But it's like, you know, I'm not getting a new Punch-Out, so I'm not just gonna, like, fucking You know, one of my favorite Nintendo IPs of all time now, Punch-Out, if anyone hasn't noticed. I'm not getting a new Punch-Out, so I'm not going to spend that. Sorry. But I'm just saying, that's ridiculous. And then if I did get a new Punch-Out, it would just be $70 anyway. If it has completely new fighters, completely new arenas, and Little Mac's back, maybe I will pay the $70 for that shit. Because it might be worth it in my eyes. But at the same time, I'm just saying, Nintendo, fix your shit. Stop this corporate greed. Sure, Switch 2 might be successful, and if it's not, it's all your fucking fault for what you guys currently be doing and the current mindset you have going on. This is why Reggie left the company of Nintendo. Iwata would be disappointed in you guys. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share the video with your friends. I'll see you guys next time. And I will upload shorts today. I am going to make sure to upload shorts today. And I say that now because I didn't do it yesterday, and I want to apologize to you guys for not uploading shorts. So, later today, I'll upload like 5 to 6 of them bitches. I'll upload 5 to 6 shorts. Some of them are going to be dubs. Some of them won't be. And until then, I hope you guys all have a great day. See you guys in the next one. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2 when this gets uploaded. I would love to see comments, you know, arguing me on my points and everything we know about the Switch 2. Maybe even update me on Switch 2 news with this video, you know. That would be really cool, you know. So please update me on Switch 2 news. I would love that, you know, if we get even more news. Or maybe debate me on why Switch 2 should be priced the way it is. I love conversation, so I would love to hear it down below in the comments. Do you like Xbox? I love Xbox. Xbox gave me great memories. I love PlayStation. It gave me great memories. I love Nintendo. It gave me great memories. I love all 3 of the consoles for different reasons, you know, than the other one. Because I played all 3 of them throughout my life. But anyways, for real, see you guys later. Peace. Fuck, I'm pissed at Nintendo. God damn. You know, but who knows? Maybe I'll even play Super Luigi RPG or some shit. We might need to get the fuck back on that game. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe y'all want it. Y'all want it? Because I'll play it for 3 hours straight or some shit.